Is social media a true reflection of the quality of your photographs? Let's find out. So welcome back to my channel, folks. If you're new here, welcome. Thank you for checking out my channel. Uh, Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so that you'll always be updated whenever I post new content. Is social media a true reflection of the quality of your photographs? So let's face it, if you're watching this video on YouTube, then you are pretty much guaranteed to have a social media account, whether it's Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or YouTube itself. Um, and you like to share your images on social media, to share it with your family, to share it with your friends. So why do we do that? Mostly it's to show, hey, look, I have this hobby, I have this skill, and I'd like to share it with you. So what's wrong with that? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. So social media is a great platform to showcase your talent. However, there's a world of difference between um, receiving social media adulation and taking it seriously. Uh, as a hobbyist, I certainly enjoy sharing my images and receiving adulation on social media. There's no doubt about it. Here's the problem. The problem is people falling in love with what they seem as their perceived level of expertise versus what their actual level of expertise is. Why? Because they get carried away with the praise, with the adulation. In my own case, when I first started out about 6 years ago, and I started posting a lot of photographs of birds, basically birds in and around my backyard or my city. Um, I received a lot of praise from family and from friends. That was great. But then they started throwing in words like, oh, this is like Nat Geo. Send your images to them. It's not like Nat Geo sitting around waiting. Please, Zhayynn, send us some images. It's not like that. So while this was encouraging, this was very flattering, it was also highly unrealistic. And it was not a true reflection of the quality of my images. But this is something I knew. And when I tried to kind of downplay um, the praise, which is very kind of people, because obviously they were encouraging me. But people accused me of false modesty. When I said, listen, Nat Geo's in a completely different league, uh, you have no idea of the kind of images that people churn out for, and that don't even make the grade at Nat Geo or any of those kind of platforms. People didn't take that well. They actually got angry with me. So I just stopped saying anything back. I just used to say, thank you, that's great, and I appreciate it. However, the problem that I find is that a lot of young photographers on social media tend to be taking this kind of praise and adulation a bit too seriously. So the problem is this. Number one, it affects your growth as a photographer. If you're starting out and you need, as with all growth processes, it needs to be a progressive, steady, linear growth. However, you think you're here and then you post, you are at this level, you start posting images and you receive some fabulous praise from friends and family. And then suddenly you think, oh, this is where I'm at. Mentally, you've gone from here to here. You've not actually grown, but you think you're here now. Number two, unrealistic expectations that by now you think you are as good as X, Y, or Z. Your expectations have completely changed. And now you're demanding, well, I'm already here. I'm at this level. This is what I should be getting. Well, so-and-so took a photograph of a tiger. I took a photograph of the same tiger. I'm as good as that person. No, that's not how it works. Three, you aren't receiving objective feedback. You're receiving just praise and adulation. That's not feedback necessarily. And you should be able to separate the wheat from the chaff. Four, and this is where it starts becoming a problem. It leads to unrealistic expectations in career choice. There are a lot of young photographers out there who message me on Instagram or on Facebook, how do I become a wildlife photographer? So before I even say anything to these people, I first just go in and have a look at their account and see what kind of images they've got. Or if their account is a private account, I ask them, please send me some images. Let me have a look. People, when I look at the images, I'm like, wow, you're nowhere near considering this as a career. Maybe, in a year, these people will get better, provided they go and learn photography first. Um, so I see a lot of this kind of very unrealistic expectation that people set up um, in terms of wanting to be a wildlife photographer. What is the right approach? I would say, first, always, stay humble. And remember that the feedback of friends and family is always going to be kind, it's always going to be encouraging, it's always going to be a pat on the back because they love you. That's why they're going to tell you, look, it's great, or it's a fantastic image. And remember that they are not sitting online comparing images of other wildlife photographers. They're not there sitting and doing that. From what they've seen, that's a fantastic image for them. But they don't see work of actual professional photographers to know where this compares. So always be aware of that. Their praise is to encourage you. 2, be objective about the quality of your own images. Objectivity is the path to growth. Subjectivity is always going to hold you back. If you say, oh, I didn't do this because of this, I didn't do this because of that, as opposed to being objective and say, yeah, I wish I could have done this better. Maybe this was a condition, this was whatever. Be objective. In everything, objectivity is always going to help you get the clear picture. 3, critique yourself. Look at your own image with no emotional attachment of, oh man, I waited for 4 hours to get that leopard coming down a tree and I got it. That doesn't matter. Look at the image objectively as an image, not as a process that you went through. And look at it and say, oh, what worked? Firstly, look at what worked. Look at the positives. Then look at what you could have done better. Maybe it was composition. Maybe it was positioning. Maybe it was exposure. Maybe you didn't have the right settings and there could have been a bit of motion blur because your shutter speed was a little slow, or whatever it is. But be objective. If you're going to be patting yourself on the back, then it's a lost cause. When you critique yourself and you are willing to do that as a process, you're already one step closer to being a better photographer than you were when you took that image. Because you are telling yourself that I want to learn from my own mistakes. 4, be open to critiquing and feedback from other photographers. Now, there are many photographic forums out there where you could submit your images and ask people to comment or give feedback or critique. When you ask people to comment or critique, be prepared for people to be blunt. Yes, sometimes people may go a little overboard, but you have to be objective, even if someone else isn't being. If 10 people comment and 9 people say it's a fantastic image and 1 person says, oh, you could have done this better, don't hold it against that 1 person for not falling in line with the 9 others and praising your image. Maybe that 1 person saw something that the other 9 didn't. So look at it objectively. Are they right? Is what they're focusing on and talking about, is it correct? Is it not? You don't have to get into a debate there. Remember, you are choosing to put your image out there and asking for feedback. So just thank people, learn from it, and then go back and try to correct it the next time you take a similar photograph. So the 5th thing that I would advise is follow photographers on Instagram or Facebook or on YouTube whose work inspires you. Now, there are a lot of wildlife photographers out there, but we all have kind of our favorites. And there's a reason why. There's something about their photographs that resonate with us. There are certain people whose work you would automatically gravitate towards. So ask yourself why. What is it about their images that hold you? When they post stuff, read. Don't just look at the image, read, because sometimes they're talking about the process. They're talking about what it took to make that image. Use them as kind of as a means of getting new ideas. Maybe somebody took a fantastic silhouette and you've never done a silhouette. So look at how did they make that image. So learn how to observe their process and try to replicate it on your own. Number 6, develop a good relationship with other photographers, with mentors, and ask them if they can critique your work. Pick what you think are your best 5 images. Sometimes they may say, send me 10 images. If you're lucky, that's great. Don't look for praise. If they praise you, that's great. Don't let it get to your head. So that means you did something right. That's fantastic. Now look for what you could have done better. When somebody sends me an image and says, can you please critique it? I would always talk about, firstly, what was nice about the image, and then what they could have done better. And then I would talk about where they either missed something or they overdid something. So it's a 3-part process for me. That's how I do it. So don't look for praise, look for advice. Number 7, and this is a hard one for a lot of people. Keep your old images. The ones that you made when you started out, the ones which your family and friends thought were fantastic, and 2 years later, when you take photographs, maybe it could be of a similar subject, it could be a similar kind of a setting, you will know how much you've changed. But if you're going to delete all your old photos thinking, oh my God, that was crap, I don't know what I was doing at that time, you're not growing, you're denying yourself. You have no reference point anymore. Always keep those images so that when you go back, you will understand how far you have come. I keep my old images. Well, they're probably rubbish now when I look at it. And I think, well, I was so impressed with the kind of image that I made at that time. But that was at that time, that was 6 years ago. The point is, have I grown since then? Have I learned my lessons? Yes, then that's how I would need to put them both side by side. 6 years from now, I would look at the images that I'm taking today and I'd say, oh man, I thought it was great at that time, but look at this now. This is so much better. That is exactly what progress is about. But if you keep deleting old images, you never have a reference point. And in your mind's eye, you'll always think, well, this is how good I always was. I send my images to people I learned my photography from. Always remember that there's somebody who knows more than you. There's always somebody you can learn from. Provided you don't shut that door in your mind saying, that's it, I know everything, I'm an expert now. I have that kind of a relationship where my mentors know I'm not looking for praise. My mentors know exactly what I want. I want their objectivity, I want their professional opinion. That's a great relationship that I have, and I would always want to have that relationship because there's always somebody. If I have 20 years experience from now, they're still going to have 20 plus X, whatever they have more than I do. So remember that social media praise is to be appreciated, but 1,000 likes, 1,000 comments saying fantastic, whatever it is, from friends and family is never going to be the same as 5 objective comments from a photography mentor. So by all means, soak up the praise, but then let it go. Don't let it get to your head. But always look at what your mentor or mentors advise you and take that to heart, because that is the growth to making you a better photographer. So folks, thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the video. I hope this was helpful. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. And until then, may the focus be with you.